Do you know anything about 3D printing? If not, that's alright, I can teach you a little bit about it today. 3D printing was first invented in 1983 by an engineer based out of Colorado. His name was Chuck Hull. And Chuck had the idea that if you take a plastic like filament or substance and you melt it down to where it's almost a liquid state, then you can draw an item out of it and then let the plastic cool back down and solidify, and then it will maintain its shape, and then you can make parts out of it. And so Chuck took this idea and ran with it, and he created the first 3D printer. March 9th, 1983, Chuck printed off the first thing to ever come off a 3D printer ever, and it was a tiny little plastic cup. And I don't know if 1983 Chuck knew the impact that the 3D printer would have on the world today, and it's impacted us big time. There's lots of different stuff, hospitals, houses, tons of different stuff you can print with 3D printers. So let's get into it. How does a 3D printer work? The 3D printer kind of depends on what kind of 3D printer you have. This model right here is a FDM, or a fused deposition modeling printer. And there's different types. You can get some that are smaller than this, some that are bigger than this. It just depends. This one's the one I got when I first got into 3D printing. So we'll start from the top. 4 parts: filament, gearbox, extruder, and the bed. So on the top, the filament, what I have in right now is kind of a hard plastic. It's blue MLA, and what this is like you can get many different colors with it. You can get some filaments that have like flexible. You can get some that are conductive, some that are clear, even some that have like, it feels like you're printing off wood, and that's what the filament feels like. And so how the printer works is the filament will string down into the gearbox, and the gearbox feeds it into the tube, which goes down into the extruder. And the extruder, that's kind of the most important part of the printer, because the extruder, the nozzle way down here, will get up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. It depends on your printer, of course, but some of them get up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's what melts down the plastic and gets it so where you can print it. And so what it does, it'll melt it down and then draw out your shape. And so I should probably explain that a little bit too. So the way you can get 3D models and stuff onto your printer is you'll go online, and there's websites you can download parts off of. You can get software that you can design stuff on, and then you'll take what you've designed or what you've downloaded it, and you'll put it into another software that will slice it into layers. And once the software is sliced into layers, you can download it to your printer, and the printer will know what to do from there. It goes layer by layer. So say you're printing a 2-inch cube, for instance, so it's about this tall. You'll have your printer, and it'll go layer by layer. So it'll draw out your square, and the extruder will get hot, melt the filament, and draw out the square, and then fill the whole square in. And then it'll go up 0.2 millimeters. That's it, 0.2 millimeters. And then it'll do the same thing again. Draw out your square, fill it in. And then again, it'll go up 0.2 millimeters, draw your square, fill it in again. And that's one of the downfalls of 3D printing, is that they do take a very, very long time to print. For example, like the 2-inch cube that we're going to do will be roughly like 250 layers. That's how many layers it's got to do. And each layer takes a couple minutes, 5-10 minutes, just depends how good you want your print to be. And so that's one of the downfalls of it. So the extruder, like I said, will draw out your shape. It moves back and forth on the x-axis, and then the last part is your build plate, and your build plate is what moves back and forth on the y-axis. And then you have a little pull over here, it'll take it up and down on the z-axis, and that is how the printer works, basically. Alright, so the uses of 3D printing. Google Scholar's website, the ScienceDirect.com, says that engineers are starting to use 3D printers to print off like bone marrow and bone tissue. And so for surgeries or for prosthetics, or just like if you broke a bone, they can help, like they can print off bone marrow, and so it can help your bones heal faster, and they can fix them better. And another use for it is in Amsterdam. They are using, according to the ScienceDirect.com, another article says that they're using big 3D printers, like ones that almost fill up an entire room, and they're building houses out of them. They'll put it in the center, and it'll print out a house around the printer. And I just think that's so fascinating. It's so cool that they have taken what Chuck Hull created in 1983 and enlarged it to where you can build houses for people to live in. And I think that's such a cool thing that they did. And so the reason that I started to get into 3D printing is back my freshman year. There was a teacher, his name was Mr. Doley, and he introduced 3D printing to us in our class. We took a class, we downloaded the software onto the computer, and we designed like cubes and like puzzle boxes and all sorts of different stuff, and he'd print it off. He had a big, huge 3D printer at school, and that fascinated me a lot. And so I worked for him over the summer, and I got enough money, and I saved up, and I bought myself this 3D printer. And I printed thousands and thousands of things on it, tons of stuff. I got lots of different filaments, all sorts of things, and I just had a lot of fun with it, and it's really been a big part of my life. So I hope I taught you something a little bit about 3D printing today. I hope I piqued your interest maybe, and I hope you can explore 3D printing in the future. So thank you.